Hey, hello everyone. This is kind of, as you can tell, this is kind of an unusual video than what I normally make. What I'm going to be talking about today is getting into Dungeons and Dragons and the tabletop RPG and like what kind of products and stuff are out there for you to buy if you're a new player. The reason why I'm making this video was that originally, when I first started the channel, most of my audience was Dungeons and Dragons nerds. They already knew about the hobby, they already had the books, they already had everything. But slowly, kind of over time, there is another audience that has also started watching the videos, and there's a lot of like new players who are genuinely confused about the hobby and don't really know where to start. And so I'll often get messages from people who just don't know what the game is, or they don't know what to buy or something. And so I'm going to be making a video so that way I got something to point to in case you are new and you're interested in figuring out where to start. So this is for you. There you go. This is the video you guys asked me to make. So first, the most important thing, and this is the thing that I always tell people who are new, who are interested in getting in the hobby. They message me, they're like, man, I don't know where to start. I always point them to the same place, which is online. There are the free basic rules. You can go to Dungeons and Dragons, the Wizards of the Coast website. You can go to look at the free basic rules, and you can download that, and you can get it. And it gives you a simplified version of the Dungeon Master's Guide, simplified monster stat block, simplified players handbook rules, and it's like, and you can just take that and just run with it and just start playing. So that is a great starting place if you are someone who just is not even doesn't even know if they're interested in playing or not. So this is the player's handbook. This is the main core rule book for what we do. This gives you the player's option, and they'll give you 12 classes and a bunch of different subclasses. Really, when you're first starting out, you kind of don't need this book. Like if you just have the free basic rules like that, that's fine. It works. This gives you a ton of different options, but I think for new players it might be a little bit complicated. Plus it's $50, I think, or 50 bucks. And if you have a bunch of players, they each have to buy one. That's kind of a tall order to ask people to do when they first starting out. So I don't know. So another option, if you want a starting place, is the starter set. This has these pre-generated characters. Oh, one of the things I have to clarify: pre-generated characters. If you're interested in if you're going to start playing D&D, I would recommend actually not going through the character creation process and instead just use pre-generated characters. Let me explain. Normally, a player can go through the rules and make a character. So Dungeons & Dragons has these things called pre-generated characters, where you say, I want to play as a ranger, and it just prints you out like, boop, here you go. That's a pre-gen character. It's already statted out. They have all the statistics, all the numbers in place, and you just play them. A lot of people want to make their character because they want to customize it and figure out where the numbers go and what their personality is and everything. Really, I think that that's fairly complicated for someone who's just getting into it and they don't know what the numbers do. Like, oh, like, what do I want my strength to be? Like a +4 or a +1? 4 is higher than 1. You know, they don't really know. And so I think starting with a pre-generated characters, and then once you see how the game plays out, then being able to make your own characters, that might ease you into it a little bit better. And besides, character creation can take a really long time. It can take like an hour and a half. And if you're someone who's like, ooh, I want to start playing, and you pull it up and spend an hour and a half making characters, and then they're probably not going to work anyway. I mean, I don't think that sounds like much fun. But so this is a starter set. It has pre-generated characters. It has an adventure in it, and it also has the starter set rules as well. One of the great things also about the starter set is that the adventure in here, The Lost Mines of Phandelver, is a lot more hand-holdy than some of the other modules and adventures that you can get on the market. So the adventure in this is more geared towards new GMs, and it helps new GMs learn how the games run. So I recommend this. The other core rule books that I'd recommend, one is the Monsters Manual. And the Monsters Manual, once again, gives you a bunch of monsters, a bunch of statistics. It's probably the second most likely book that you're going to be using in the game. Then you have the Dungeon Master's Guide, which is a little bit more optional than the other two. Like the Player's Handbook, like you gotta have it if you're going to be playing for a long time. Monsters Manual a little bit, and then Dungeon Master's Guide probably the least required of the core rule books. Also talking about adventures, they have these, which are published adventures. And this, as you can see, this is an entire world where it has a country, it's got places, it has NPCs, it has adventures to be had. These things, a lot of times when people buy them, they kind of put them on the shelf and then don't really pick them up again, or they'll open them up and then flip through it and read it to get adventure ideas. But I think to a new player, this might be kind of complicated. You might look at it and be like, oh, I don't know if I want to run it. Players are different. People run it differently. Some people want to start with a module because, ooh, it's a starting point and it tells me what to do. But some people find the modules very complex to run because it's an entire world. You know, it's a lot of stuff to remember. And I think that's one of the major mistakes that people make when they get into Dungeons and Dragons is they think they have to memorize this material and then regurgitate it to the players. I'm like, look, just you go through it just chapter by chapter, just page by page. Don't try and overwhelm yourself when you're running it. Another option that I love this book. This is one of my favorite books. I really like it. What it is this is Tales from the Yawning Portal, and it has little adventures in here. I think it has about 8. The first adventure is like levels 1 to 4, and then has another adventure that's like 3 to 6 or something. And as you go through the book, it gets higher and higher level. And I like this one because this is not an entire adventure world. This is just like different adventures, and so you can pick the one you want and run it. Unfortunately, there's only one first level adventure, so if you buy it and you're if you're gonna start with it, you're gonna be running whatever is the first level adventure. One thing which I highly recommend, which is the community's kind of split on this, is you have Adventurers League. Adventurers League are the publicly run Dungeons and Dragons games that anyone can go. They're hosted by different game stores, and you can go in, play the game. They teach you the rules. They'll hand you a pre-generated character, and I think that might be the easiest way to get into it, is just to go there and figure out how the game is run. Some people don't really like that atmosphere in the environment because you're playing with strangers. You don't really know anyone there, but I like going there, and I think that it's good for new players because then you get to see how it's being run, and then you can learn from that and just run it at home if you don't like going there, or you can go there and meet people, and the people you like, you can kind of exchange contact info and then meet up some other time, potentially. So it's a great way to meet other people who play Dungeons & Dragons and learn the system, start you off with pre-generated characters, and just see if you like the game or not, because it's difficult to get into it when you don't even know if you're going to enjoy playing it. And the last thing I am going to be talking about is this, Pathfinder. Now, Pathfinder, sometimes when people talk about Dungeons & Dragons, they include Pathfinder in the Dungeons & Dragons verse, or the game system. And it's a complicated background, but basically this is a separate game other than Dungeons & Dragons, but it was based... Dungeons & Dragons, okay, it's a complicated background, but basically Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, the old edition, was released under an open game license, and then when 4th edition came out, Wizards stopped supporting 3.5, but because it was released under open game license, anyone could take the rules and improve them or modify them and then re-release them. So they took Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, updated them, did some modifications, and then released it as Pathfinder. And one of the great things about this system is that all the rules for this is up online, and there's a ton of material for it. So if you're interested in playing Pathfinder, you can just go and look at the SRD online and find this game up there as well. And there's a lot more material for it out there. It also has a really large community as well. So that's one of the problems when getting into a tabletop RPG. There's a lot of great games out there. There's like Shadow the Demon Lord. There's, Exalted. There's this one. There's Icons. There's Paragon, Mutants Masterminds and stuff. But when you go out into the world to try and get a group together, it's a lot harder to find whoever you find people for. That's what you tend to play. So it's like if you go out and you find Dungeons & Dragons nerds, like you end up playing Dungeons & Dragons nerds because those are the people playing it. So if you're interested in getting into tabletop RPGs, you're probably going to start with Dungeons & Dragons because it's more common and there's a lot more people playing it, so you're more likely to get a group together for that. Anyway, Pathfinder is also a very popular game. There's a lot of people that play it, so if you go out, you can probably find a Pathfinder Society game or some people running it to get into their thing. The downside, this is a lot more complicated than Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but anyway, this is a great game. A lot of people love it. It's another option out there in case you're interested in getting into RPGs and D&D. So have fun. Hopefully you guys will be able to learn and play and have some fun. And I'll see you guys on the next video. So I might do more videos like this down the line. I don't know. It just depends how this one turns out and how I like it. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll do like a face reveal or something. Then that might be kind of cool. Like, people are sitting there wondering, like, what do I look like? What does Ben look like behind the animation? And people don't know. They don't know. And so that's why I would make the video and be there and be like, wow, this is my face. This is what it looks like. And people would be like, wow, this is pretty cool. That's what it looks like. Because we didn't know before. Because his face was not on camera. But now it's on camera. Now I can see it. It's there. So, yeah, maybe when I get to 1 million subscribers, might do a face reveal. So, look forward to that coming down maybe sometime. I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep it a secret. Mystery. No one will know what I look like.